Hi, I'm Chris James, and you're watching A Healthy Alternative. Today, we're going to be talking about the secret to weight loss using water fasting. We're missing a piece of the puzzle.
You start getting healthy and you just become a better person.
We need to start focusing more on the individual.
All right, so sometimes I feel like a fish trying to swim upstream when it comes to the community on YouTube because I really don't like talking specifically about weight loss because fasting's so much more than that. But by the same token, I have an overwhelming amount of individuals who are interested in weight loss and ask questions as it pertains to that. So I guess I'm at a breaking point and I'm just like, you know what, I'm just gonna give people what they want. All right, so today we're going to talk about the secrets to losing weight using water fasting. And it's really, really simple, okay? So, number one, you have to be consistent with this process. I know that, for those of you who have been doing this for a while, doing it on and off is always going to be a problem. You have to be consistent, you have to be dedicated, right? And the lack of consistency, I think, oftentimes comes from the idea that maybe this isn't going to work. I think a lot of people in the back of their mind, they're like, this worked for 10 people. This worked for the people that Chris kind of shows on his channel, the case studies and things like that. But is it going to work for me? Right? That's all we care about. We just care about is it going to work for me? And through the years, I've done my best to show that, yes, this isn't going to work just for my family or for, men or for women. This isn't something that's exclusive to a particular culture, race, or creed. This is something that works for everybody. I've brought all sorts of people onto the show to highlight that. So with that being said, consistency is very important. Now, here's the thing. We want to see results as quickly as possible. And so sometimes we get down in the dumps about it because we're not seeing results as quickly as we believe we should. Well, there's a couple things you could do to make sure that your results come fairly quickly. And this is definitely one of the keys to success or the secrets with fasting. Number one, you gotta prep, okay? You always have to prepare for your fast. It doesn't matter if you're doing a 3-day fast, a 7-day fast, a 30-day fast. You want to prepare your body for it. Even if you're gonna do a 1-day fast, maybe it's your first time fasting, you're gonna do 24 hours, you still want to prepare. Stay away from the notion that you're going to eat everything that you want to eat because you're about to go on a fast. That is the complete opposite of what you should be doing because it will ultimately make your fasting process harder. So we've talked about that many times, right? The goal in your prep season is to hydrate better. You can do that by eating more high water content fruits and vegetables, as well as drinking more water. Right. So now that you've prepared, you want to make sure that you are properly educated on, just what's going to happen through this process. How are you going to feel? I've got a video where I talk about detox symptoms. That's super important to understand because that also goes back to consistency, right? If we experience something that we are completely unfamiliar with, on top of the fact that fasting is already something that's abnormal and can be very challenging, it will prompt us to want to quit. And of course, that messes up our consistency. So we want to make sure that we're promoting consistency through this process. So learn about the detox symptoms. I will leave a link or I'll leave a card for the video that I did talking about detox symptoms. But there's a wide variety of detox symptoms. Fasting can cause you to feel all sorts of different things. And the other thing to keep in mind is even if you've been fasting for a while, you can experience new detox symptoms even if you've fasted 40 times, right? Because it all depends on what your body is doing at that time. So consistency, doing prep work helps you to support being consistent as well as educating yourself. The other part of this that's super ultra important is having a realistic goal. Now, keep in mind that with fasting, you can have goals that to other people seem unrealistic, but they are realistic. So when I say have realistic goals, I'm not saying realistic in the sense that, someone who has no idea about fasting or whatever, goals that are realistic for them. Because when it comes to weight loss and it comes to traditional education, 1 pound a week is phenomenal. We all know with fasting, we could lose much more weight than that, much more quickly. And it's the healthiest way to lose weight. So that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm actually talking about is, you know yourself better than anybody else. If you know you have a problem with how you break your fast, for example, right? You know that's an area you need to work on. Well, if you don't break your fast properly, it's going to set you back, right? So you need to account for that when you're creating your timeline, because we don't want to create goals that are going to be setting ourselves up for failure. We want to be realistic with ourselves in the sense that we're not perfect. And there are going to be obstacles that are going to be more challenging for you as an individual to overcome than maybe somebody else. So evaluate your own psyche, right? Look at the process as a whole, and look at where you feel like you're going to have difficulty. And it's not something to shy away from. We should actually highlight it and create an actual plan to overcome these things, okay? So, for example, if you know refeeding is an area where you don't do very well, then that means you need to put in place an active plan to make sure that when it's time to refeed, you have the proper materials, okay? That means that if you need to learn some recipes, if you need to buy your food ahead of time, if you need to make your food ahead of time, okay? We have these wonderful things called freezers. So you could prepare the food ahead of time, pop it in the freezer. It's meal prepping, okay? And then when you come off your fast, your stuff's already ready to go. You just warm it up in the oven or on the stovetop or whatever you might do, and you could just eat it. It's very simple. The other side of it is removing foods from the house that aren't conducive to the process that you're going through. And I know a lot of people have families and other people that live with them. And I've stated many times, it's very important to have your family in on this, right? If your family loves you, they care about you, they want you to heal, they want you to be healthy, things of that nature, normal stuff that families tend to want to do for you or help you with, then they may be willing to kind of work through this process with you. You're coming off of a long fast. Okay, we remove all of the junk food from the house, no problem, right? So these are all things that you could do to kind of prepare yourself for the obstacle that is refeeding. We want to be consistent. We want to have realistic timelines. As we identify issues in our timeline, obstacles, we want to put in place plans that are going to help us circumvent those obstacles or overcome them more easily. Now, here is another major key to success when your focus is weight loss and you're fasting. Understanding the scale is key. If you don't understand the scale, it is going to cause you to be demotivated, right? So here's the thing that you got to understand. The body is not as simple as to say, if you're losing weight, that's a good thing. If you're gaining weight, that's a bad thing. I understand our goal is to lose weight. We're overweight. We want to lose weight. I get it. But you have to understand that there's so many different things that add to your overall weight, right? It's not just about fat. There are digestive fluids, there's healthy fat, there's muscle, there's different tissues, there's different processes that stimulate fluids that have nothing to do with this weight loss goal. Our weight loss goal, when we're talking about weight loss, what we're talking about is eliminating excess white adipose tissue, okay? That's what we're talking about. So it's interesting that when you fast, there are days when you could get on the scale and either not lose weight or you could actually gain weight. These are things you have to understand. You know how demotivating it is when your goal is weight loss and you're getting on the scale every single day, and you get on the scale and it says you weigh a pound more than you weighed yesterday, and you're already fasting, and fasting's already challenging. You feel like you're going against the grain. You've got your family in your ear, or your coworkers in your ear, your friends telling you that you're stupid, you're dumb, you're going to kill yourself, et cetera, et cetera. That's very easy to just snap just like that, right? It's a breaking point. So it's an area that we need to understand more about. The body works in a very dynamic way. So if you're just focused on the scale, it can be misleading, right? Because our goal is to reduce white adipose tissue. What I have seen countless times is someone could actually get on the scale, have gained a pound while they're fasting, but they go in with a tape measure and they measure their waist and they've lost 2 inches. I've seen it so many times. What sense does that make, right? That doesn't make sense. How do you lose 2 inches but gain a pound? It's because your focus is purely on the weight loss, right? And not on the reduction of white adipose tissue, which should be your focus. But the scale can't tell you that. The scale's not going to tell you how much white adipose tissue you've eliminated over the course of 3 days or whatever. So we have to be wise. We have to understand that the body is literally always working. That's just what it does. You're fasting, it's healing. If you're fasting, it's healing, right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This goes back into, the consistency of this entire thing. You want to be consistent. The more consistent you are, the quicker you're going to see results. The quicker you see results, the more motivated you become, and the easier it is to do this thing, because this process is not easy. The last secret to success when it comes to water fasting that I'm going to be talking about today is what I have been taught to understand as the heaven and the hell, okay? You want to create 2 potential outcomes in your mind, okay? And you can write it down on paper. One is going to be called the heaven. The other one is going to be called the hell. And with the hell outcome, what you're going to be doing is outlining all of the things that being overweight does to impact your life negatively, right? And we're going to look at the future. We're going to look at, how many morbidly obese or obese people do you know in their 70s and 80s? It's very uncommon to see morbidly obese people, at 80 years old. Why? Because having that extra weight on your body, there's an increased risk of mortality, period, because you're overweight. And the body has to work harder. So we've got to look at, if I continue down this road, what's my future going to look like? Okay, right now I'm just dealing with the weight. Am I going to have diabetes? If I get diabetes, am I going to have to get on medication? If I get on medication, what's that medication going to do to me? What's it going to do to my finances? What limitations am I going to have, right? People become diabetic. They're afraid to eat fruit. They're afraid they can't eat sugar, but they're afraid to eat fruit, right? So if you enjoy fruit, you don't want to become a diabetic because you don't want to have to deal with that. Now, I know better, and I know that as a diabetic, you can still eat fruit, but that's a whole nother story. But for now, we're just painting this picture of what's my life going to be like, right? Am I going to be embarrassed because I'm going up a flight of stairs and I'm out of breath? We talked to Justin last week, and Justin said he would be out of breath just typing up a report on his computer. How embarrassing is that? How does that make you feel, right? Dive deep. How embarrassing is it when you go to get on the airplane, you have to get the extender belt to put on, right? How embarrassing is it you get in your car and you can't click your seat belt? How dangerous is that, right? How embarrassing is it to not be able to tie your own shoes? These are the things that we need to be thinking about as we're painting our hell. Do you want to live long enough to see your grandchildren graduate from high school, or your children graduate from high school? Do you want to be in and out of a hospital for the next 5, 10, 20 years until you pass away early, right? And I know this might sound harsh, but it's the hell. This is the reality that you're potentially going to be facing. And it's important to highlight this so that you use it as motivation. And I don't have a problem talking about it because we have a solution. And so as long as we have a solution to the problem, I don't have a problem highlighting, the issues, because we can now address them. On the other end of the spectrum, let's look at the heaven, right? We don't want to leave ourselves in a broken state. We highlight the problem, we want to have a solution. So what's the heaven look like? What does it look like to be able to run without running out of breath? What does it look like to be able to tie your shoe, to not have to worry about paying an extra plane ticket because you're too big to get in one seat, right? To be able to get in those little tiny lavatories and the porta johns, right? I mean, you can go to an event where there's porta johns and whatever available. That's the only thing available. You don't got to worry about being able to fit in there. Think about being able to breathe easier. And for some of us who have been overweight for so long, we may have forgotten, but imagine that you feel more comfortable in your body, right? Imagine having self-restraint and self-control. Imagine how empowering that is. Imagine how getting control of your eating habits and being able to go through this process of fasting, how it's going to affect other aspects of your life, how it's going to affect your finances. You're not spending as much money on food, how it's going to affect you getting that raise at work because you command more power. You're more capable as an individual because you've accomplished things that you never thought you could accomplish. That's very empowering, right? Imagine being able to get that girl or guy that you've been eyeballing for the past year or so, but you don't feel like you're worthy of them, right? So there's so many different aspects of the heaven that you can kind of dip into. Make it personal for yourself. Some people, finances and things like that don't move them. Some people are more creative. Some people are more relationship oriented. It just depends. I'm just throwing ideas out there. But create this heaven and hell contrast, and that's going to help keep you motivated through this process, keep you consistent. Okay, so I just wanted to give you all some of these tools. In my academy, I outline much more of this. I go much more in depth about how to go through these processes. I also break down exactly how you need to address some of these core issues. The education part is easy because that's what the academy does. We're talking about education, but implementing the implementation is so incredibly important. So being able to outline week 1, week 2, week 3, so that you can lose weight as effective as possible. There's no guesswork. That's what I do on my Fasting Academy. So check that out. Right now, we're doing a free, a 3-day trial. So you can come, you could literally just check it out. Do you like the environment? Do you like the community? Do you like the way the courses are set up? If you do, continue on with it. If you don't, no harm, no foul. Come check us out, ahafastingacademy.com. Link is in the description of this video. Hopefully you guys got some great tips from this. If you did, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. Everybody, I want to make sure that you understand that YouTube has this every once in a while, they will unsubscribe you from a channel if you're not active or whatever. They'll also uncheck your notification bell. Recently, people have been telling me that they don't get notified when my videos come out. That's because YouTube's probably gone in and unchecked your notification bell. So make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure that the notification bell is checked. I've been putting out videos consistently for the past, 3 years now. So if you're not being notified, that's why. And as always, the application of knowledge is power, and I will see you all next time.